This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Corey O'Leary, of course, coming to you here on this Friday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Unfortunately, no golf for anybody today, it looks like. Raining out there, Todd Leary.
Yeah, it is. And it was, we had a nice, healthy storm this morning. Did you see all the thunder and lightning?
I did not, fortunately. I must have been my 1 hour of sleep I got.
You must have been sleeping like a baby.
That must have been the 1 hour of sleep I got because I was like awake until like 3, it seemed like. But
yeah, it was loud.
Yeah, I hope everybody else is able to keep their cycle normal. It's easy to get out of cycle. You know what I'm saying? You start staying up later and getting it. It's like weird. And then the days start rolling into weird. It's a weird deal.
And when you don't do your normal daily routine, then all of a sudden the nights, like it's, they seem to fly by, or then some of them seem to be super long. It's ridiculous. Like you get really lazy because you're not out doing stuff during the day. I do, at least.
Hey, guess what? We won't be able to do the show from our beds anymore soon when we'll start doing it live on video. I'm gonna have to actually take a shower each morning or at least put a shirt on, a different shirt.
Yeah, we'll have to have a stable of shirts because I generally, I wear the same stuff all the time.
Oh, man. I mentioned this yesterday. March 30th, a vote on the NCAA in extending eligibility for winter and spring athletes. That surprises me. I'm surprised that they are going to consider this for winter athletes. I mean, it sucks that they didn't get to play in the tournament. It really does, and I'd love to see it, but I just don't know that that's something you can – I don't know how you fix that one, man. The spring they get.
It's probably just up for topic for conversation because I seriously doubt it. Everyone we've talked to, just from, players to all the way to, some of the writers and experts, everybody thinks that there's not a chance that happens.
I don't know, man. I wonder, but the thing is, I don't know, can they vote for either or do they have to vote for one or the other? Because that may hurt the spring guy.
Yeah, true. Yeah, if that's the case, it definitely would, in my opinion.
I agree.
But I think the spring guys, most of them, you're going to have 80% of the people on your team have not redshirted. It's not football. Most of the guys on football do redshirt, but in the winter sports, baseball maybe, but track and field and golf and a lot of the other ones, most of those guys don't redshirt, and all they have to do is exercise their redshirt year option.
Guess what comes out today? Ozark on Netflix. No more Tiger Man. No more Tiger Man. Everybody can stop watching. Everybody can stop watching that show. It's like people are being forced to watch it now. It seems like.
Well, it was. I saw when I flipped up Netflix yesterday. It said it was the #1 show nationally. So it's
how
not
could
surprising.
It not be? That guy's sitting in prison down in Oklahoma, just going, man, look, I'm the Tiger King."
Yeah, he's probably not that uncomfortable where he's at.
Tiger Queen, more like it. Indiana football, great move for them. They signed Jovan Swan, a grad transfer from Stanford, adding some depth to the defensive line. He's kind of a difference maker type, man. That defensive line, that's a unit on that team. They've been improving. They've added some others. I think they added a grad transfer last year. This could be the most improved unit on that football team.
Yeah, and what a fun name to say. Fish is going to have a blast being able to say that name on sacks.
Jovan Swan!
That's just a fun name. He needs to be a three-point shooter. He needs to play basketball.
It just rolls off the tongue.
That's a sweet name.
Just rolls off the tongue. Some sad news. Harlem Globetrotters legend Curly Neal passed away. Nothing to do with coronavirus. 70, not that I know of, 77 years old, down in Houston. Man, we talked about this before. I got to see him as a kid. It was awesome. He was one of the greats of the game.
It's interesting in the times and how generations are so much different because, like, to my kids, you say Curly Neal died from the Harlem Globetrotters, and they're like,
Who?
Yeah, what? Who?
Was he on the Three Stooges?
What are the Harlem Globetrotters? Like, who cares? Like, what are you talking about? And to us, it was a big deal. I mean, I remember Market Square Arena being absolutely packed, full, all the way to the top because the Harlem Globetrotters were in town, and it was just, I loved it as a kid. It was and he was kind of the highlight of the show because of his ball handling and all sliding on the floor and between his legs. It was the best, and he was kind of the face of it for a long time.
Yeah, I got to see him. I got to see Meadowlark, Goose Tatum. I got to see some of the greats, man. It was. I
think
remember
Curly was the one, or was it Meadowlark Lemon was the one that would shoot the hook shot half court?
Yeah, and then he went to Goose Tatum after that. He kind of took that role over. Curly Neal actually took over his role from, I think it was Marcus Haynes. Who was the originator of that position.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Go back. I mean, this guy in the 30s, 40s, 50s, he was doing his stuff back then. It was amazing. Yeah, it's worth a look. Go back on YouTube or something. Marcus Haynes, he was the originator of that spot. But I remember as a kid, I had a grandfather that lived down in Owensboro, Kentucky, and my mother, we went down there to visit him. And I remember seeing him down there in some little bitty old.
So do you have some cousins that are also uncles?
Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have said that, boy. But it's some little bitty gym, saw them down there, and every game they had this same routine. And there was this one part where Meadowlark pulls somebody out of the audience, and they chase them around with a bucket, and they throw water on one of those guys, but then they throw the confetti on the person.
Right?
And they did that to my mom, which was just I remember as a kid, and it was just like I was like, oh my god, my mom's out there with Meadowlark Lemon. It was nuts.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember it. I mean, I think I told you earlier, I probably went 5 times. I mean, I'm sure. I know I remember seeing them twice in Indianapolis, and I'm pretty sure we drove down to Louisville a couple times. So yeah, they were always a highlight. And as a 8 to 12-year-old kid, you just love that back then. Now kids today would be like, what?
Especially if you're into basketball, because that stuff they did was pretty cool. Like, practiced. I mean. Wow. I mean, he hit that half-court hook shot with regularity.
Here's the funny part. Like, we remember it that way. Like, as a kid, I would love to know, like, what the percentage really was. Because in my mind, he made it every time.
Yeah.
In my mind, he was like, he made 9 out of 10. And I know that's not possible, but
made
that's the way I remember it.
He made a bunch of them. I don't want to do too much sad news, but, on coronavirus-wise, there was a cameraman that worked in the Jazz locker room. I think this may have been in New York but he was put into an induced coma. And then University of Louisville wide receiver Corey Reed, his father, who was only 43, passed away from COVID-19. So it's a serious deal, folks. We keep taking it serious, but I think if people continue to do what they are doing right now, they'll beat it. I mean, China's seeing great results, and I think that'll happen here. It's just got to continue to be vigilant in what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's it seems like people are. I mean, everybody around seems to be at home, and everybody I talk to seems to be at home. There's not really much of a choice right now.
Rick Pitino, man, new coach at Iona, not Iowa, but Iona up there in the Northeast. Where are they? Are they in New Jersey or something?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
They're in the MAAC conference. But anyway, Rick Pitino, their new coach, got 6 new commitments in a week while recruiting is shut down.
In a week where you're not supposed to be contacting recruits. Yeah, that's interesting.
He's only had a job for like a week and a half.
But you know how they flip the system on stuff. He probably contacted them all before he actually was announced as a coach.
Yeah.
So it wasn't illegal, and they've got to.
Well, it's not like it's not like he's got the number 10 recruiting class,
right?
Or something either. But I was curious. They hadn't updated it yet. I was looking on the Rivals top 100 or the teams. They haven't updated it yet, so I don't know where they actually are. Curious. I did look. Indiana's number 29.
Really?
That's without Christian Lander. I don't know what that'll do to it. It'll obviously raise it up some. I don't know how much it'll move him up. It may move him up 5 spots. I mean, he's a 5-star. Well, he's a 5-star in this class, his class.
Right.
Another
He's
4-star.
the number one point guard in his class, right?
Yeah, but he drops down in this class. So that'll move him up pretty good, though. I mean, they'll probably have maybe a top 20 recruiting class.
Yeah.
If he gets to make that.
Hey, and the cool part is it's top 20 based on rankings of people we don't respect anyway. So we'll rank it however we'll rank it after a year from now.
Exactly. I mentioned Indiana, or did I mention Indiana made the Elite Eight in the 2020 NCAA simulated tournament. The simulated tournament is treating the Hoosiers quite well. They beat Arizona last night, 74-66.
Tough one in the Miller household.
Yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa Miller household. That's a tough one to root for and against.
Man, it was so funny, though, some of the fans' reactions, because they were putting stats down. This player did this. They're like going, yeah, right. No way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure whoever's doing those polls, they're probably regionalized so that, in a different part of the country, Arizona won.
Yeah, there, you know what? That's a great point. Very, very, very good possibility. It's funny. You could do that. So yeah, but and then NCAA, they slashed their payouts to schools. $375 million these schools are not going to be getting.
Yeah, that's healthy, but it's. I think I saw Fred Glass was making comments yesterday or the day before about the economic impact this is going to have on the university, and the interesting part is it's nationwide with that. I mean, everybody's dealing with the same thing, so it's it's just horrible. I mean, we'll have to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to shake out in some form or another. I mean, each school is going to get a lot less money, and then that begs the question. That's something that we'll probably talk about next week a little more. But there was a lot of talk about Indiana having money siphoned off of the Big Ten Network money that they get, and it going elsewhere outside of athletics, where more you see a lot of other schools are building different athletics facilities, big facilities. And with that having happened now, is there going to be an effect in that regard on future projects for Indiana? Question that won't be answered for a while, of course, but it's something to think about.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's there's going to be so many different layers with this, once we start peeling it back, months after months from now. And I'm sure they'll be feeling the impact of this for years. And I don't mean things will be shut down for years. I just mean that we'll be feeling the economic impact of this for a long time.
Got Devontae Green coming up here on the program today. Cannot wait. Looking forward to talking to Devontae. See how he's doing, what he's up to, what's up next to him. So that's coming up next. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary here on this Friday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with that right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Lear here on this Friday. Looking to get Devontae on here. He didn't answer the first time. Of course, he was up late because I know we were texting late. Everybody was watching the Duke game last night. The Indiana Duke game from 2002 was on again last night. So a lot of people were watching that. I was laughing because Dane, Coach Fife, was he was texting along with it saying, well, Odell did this here or this such happened here. And
yeah, well, what did he say at the end?
I missed that one.
What did he say there?
I missed that one.
I bet it was radio silence when it came to the end of that.
But we were texting, and Devontae was supposed to be on yesterday, and I screwed up, and I realized it last night. I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm texting him. He doesn't text me back until late. I had texted Dane in the meantime, and he's like, I'll be there. He goes, they're not going to show up because I'm going to be there. And I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. What's that? Okay, well, go ahead and call our boy Dane Fife. He's he wins a dinner bet now. I owe him Janko.
No, he's not the one that said he wouldn't.
I know, but this is a whole mess. When you have to book guests and yesterday got late and I didn't get a response, and you get nervous and you start asking other people. Then they all respond at the same time real late, and you're like, oh my gosh, which is what happened yesterday. So, but Dane said I was actually also talking to AJ about coming on, and of course he's in California, so he has to get up early. And Dane says he is no way he's going to show up. No way. He goes, I bet you. I'll be ready when he doesn't show up. And I'm like, which was an incredibly nice gesture in and of itself. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. He goes, but if it does, I said, Janko's on me, man. It's Janko's Steakhouse, of course, in Bloomington. And I'm like,
Yonkos for the rest of us.
Yonkos, rather.
Jankos.
Yonkos.
Looks like Jankos.
And so he's like, yeah. So now we're going to be maybe having Dane Fife on instead. We'll see what the.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm interested to hear his answer. I've heard it several different variations.
Well, I can hear our producer talking to somebody, so I'm assuming that it is. So we got Coach Dane Fife on, who just won an all-expense paid trip to Yanko's Steakhouse for showing up this morning. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
It actually was not AJ that didn't show up. Devontae Green was supposed to be on. AJ was going to be on later, but you still win the bet in my eyes, I guess.
Well, AJ hasn't been on yet, has he?
No, but
He's looking for 2 dinners right now. Is what he's looking for. Is a second dinner. Dane's got an angle for everything. You know that,
man. But Dane, I was telling you were up last night texting along, watching the Duke game, which was kind of comical as you were adding your commentary along the way. So some great comic relief for the people.
Well, I figured I'd prime them for another morning with you and Leary with that late night. But somebody had asked me to do a live tweet for the game, and it's not something I normally did. And I found that my thumbs were getting tired pretty quick. But I enjoyed it. You know, it was nice to interact with Hoosiers and people that had watched the game and had been part of it and answer questions. And honestly, I expected more sarcasm and insults, but they didn't come my way, which is a reason why I more or less volunteered to come on your show this morning.
I was going to say, don't worry, they're probably coming soon. You got Todd Leary on here, man.
It was the first thing I said. Fast forward through all the whole game, and let's spend 2 hours on the foul. I mean, let's just go right there.
You know, I've always said this, but Don Fisher made the mistake of saying it was Coverdale, and that's what happened at first. I know that Todd was quick to clear that up, but you know, it was Todd. I don't know if you remember, but you and I made eye contact, and I came over there after the game ended almost immediately, and Fisher was announcing that we were fighting, and then it's a playful fight and all that, but
yep.
You had that look in your eye, and I had the same feeling, but I didn't appreciate that, Todd. And after all these years, I'm finally getting the guts to tell you.
The fun part is we knew the outcome watching the game last night, and at the time when it happened, we did know the outcome. So it's funny to see what you think of it at the time, because at the time I was like, that is literally the worst basketball play that's ever been made in the history of basketball. And then now it's like, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, he fouled a guy that can't shoot free throws anyway, so it's no big deal.
The CBS announcer covered you too, because he hung it on Jeff Newton, I think.
Yeah, and I think he reiterated it later after the game ended. But
you and Jeff look a lot alike. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, we do. We got same hairline, great length, great athleticism.
Athleticism, yeah, very similar players.
He makes a lot better barbecue though.
Yeah, for sure. I will
George
say
Leach.
this, it's funny after together. every year. I always my quote from that game is always the "I love you, Don. I love you, Don. Stay until Saturday, boys." The great Todd Leary. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's right up there with some Norman Dale quotes.
Yeah, well, I can tell you it was. I mean, even through all the years of playing there and all that, that still is one of absolutely my favorite IU moments forever. Like, it was so much fun. I just, I can't even. I think I've told you this before, Dane. Fish and I didn't even pack a second game's worth of clothing. Like I swear to you, Fish. I think Fish drove back home the next day. I just went to the store and bought more stuff and stayed down there. It was so much fun in Lexington, but
they had a lot of faith in you guys, didn't they?
Yeah, we did. We didn't even pack a suitcase.
Oh, that's beautiful. I don't think I did either, to be honest with you. I only packed one pair of shoes.
When you look at that roster, I mean, here's the thing. Like, when you look at just, pure talent and athleticism, that Duke team is just, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. And then you look at our team and you're like, okay, basketball IQ-wise, I think it's just as flip-flopped with that. I mean, I think our players were the smartest, hardest playing, and I've said this a million times without Dane being on the air, so I'm not kissing his butt, but that Coverdale Dane Fife backcourt is the most unathletic, most productive two people that could ever be on the court at the same time and actually beat a team like that. And I've been begging for 2 years now for us to get somebody back on this team that's kind of that same type player, and I think we're real close to getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Yeah,
that people remember that team that you guys beat, Dane, not to cut you off, but the talent on that team was immense when you look as far as NBA and all that stuff down the road. It's incredible what you accomplished when you seriously.
well, it was sick to think about. When we beat UNC Wilmington, the fans were chanting, "We want Duke," and I could tell we were kind of thinking to ourselves, "No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No,
Yeah.
we don't want," because we'd watched them pretty much all year. It seemed like they were on ESPN every night. They had some
Right.
great games that we watched with Maryland. But you're right, Todd. I mean, I think in every way we probably weren't supposed to win that game. And the eye test, the airport test, they weren't exactly they only played 6 guys.
Right.
They weren't exactly a physically imposing team, but I was saying last night, Jay Williams was so skilled and so quick. I mean, he would cross over in front of you, at full speed and just be to the rim in an instant. And, one of the things I said was that, we didn't want me on Jay Williams out of the gate because we were worried about foul trouble. Of course, we were always worried about foul trouble with me, but that was the truth. We started Coverdale on Jay, and I think we made a bad decision. We ended up getting Coverdale 2 quick fouls.
Right. Yeah. I'm telling you, when you even know the outcome of that game and watching the first 14 minutes of it, I'm still like, maybe I remember it wrong. Like maybe my memory is just messed up. There's no way we come back and win this game. Like 0 chance.
Down to the last shot. Last night, I'm like, how in the hell did they win this game? when he missed the free throw, and was it Boozer that got the rebound and missed that shot? I'm like, how did they not win that game? I'm like, it still blew my mind.
Well, I think Jared Jeffries is to blame on that one. And as I said, I mean, I think Jared should catch more heat than I was at least trying. Jared didn't even try on the box out. I was at least trying on Jay Williams' shot.
That's a good point.
Dane pointed out last night that he thought Jared was just padding his rebounding stats throughout the game.
Well, that was a K-Pack comment that he's always said about JJ. JJ liked to pad his rebounding stats, but JJ was so good. I mean, that was the one guy that we knew we had that he was. JJ was fearless, and there was a reason why he was, a high draft pick in the NBA, and a great competitor, amazing understanding of the game, and like I said, this is a guy that was born and raised in dang near Nashville, Indiana. I said, there's bears out there where he lives. He's probably wrestled a few. I mean, he was long and relatively skinny, but the dude was strong and probably wouldn't want to meet up with him in an alley. He could really get after it. And I'm sure he's a pretty good fighter.
In all seriousness, though, Dane, you look at that team, and Todd mentioned it. I mean, you look at today, and everybody's about this 5-star and that 5-star. We don't see too many teams that are built like that Indiana team was and did what they were able to do today. Why don't we see teams like that anymore?
Well, one is longevity. You don't have a lot of older players, and that said, once we went to our bench, we got really, really young. We brought in Donald Perry and Moye, and what was Newton Moye were sophomores, I think, but we got young quickly, and so it's really tough to keep a team, and then you throw in the transfer stuff. And keep in mind, somebody pointed out last night, I think we had 5 Mr. Basketballs on that team, and that doesn't mean much, but it speaks to we're not, and JJ and myself were McDonald's All-Americans, and Cov was older. Horny was 5th senior by academics. It's really hard because you have to be able at that level, at the Power 5, Power 6 level in basketball. You've got to have you've got to have people set their egos aside. And that's what guys like myself and Cove and even Jared didn't have an ego. Newt, Moye, Horny, they didn't have an ego. And so it's nowadays you've got not only, certain kids that have big egos, but they're the people that have a voice in their ear. Their egos are just as big. So it is hard to put together a team where you can get 5, 6, 7 guys playing together and really clicking.
Yeah, and then now as we move forward with all this coronavirus stuff that we're all dealing with, the basketball season obviously cut short, which sucked for all of us. And you guys had a really good season and were appointed one of the teams that had a great shot to win the tournament and to go on into the NCAA tournament and do well. Man, how do you guys rectify that in your mind with knowing that you had that and you had that shot, and then it's gone?
Well, it's, you feel kind of guilty speaking about basketball right now because this coronavirus it's real, and it's hit us hard up here in the greater Detroit area. Luckily, it hasn't been too rough at this point in the Lansing area, but it's a mess. But when we talk about basketball, and this is our livelihoods, it's my livelihood, it's Cassius's livelihood. It's Tom Izzo's livelihood. I mean, this is what you work for every day. This is what you essentially punish your families for. This is something that means a lot to a lot of people. And our team was really starting to click here at Michigan State. And Cassius was finally, I think he was gaining better perspective on his own life and what happened to his brother, and was really starting to come out of it and was really playing well. Matter of fact, I called him 2 nights ago and said, Cash, you really made me mad here. You were really starting to play well, and this coronavirus came along. That's really going to cost me. He goes, what you mean? I said, well, my Final Four bonus is no longer it's not going to happen this year, and we laughed, but I probably thanked him 1,000 times, but just the things he did, and nothing flashy, kind of like a Coverdale, but Cassius Winston, fellas, we both have been exposed to some incredible programs, or the three of us with Indiana, and then myself at Indiana and Michigan State. Michigan State's had some damn good players. It's probably pretty close when you go nose to nose with the players, the amount of great players that Indiana has had. And when you speak of the Steve Smith, Sean Respert, of course, Magic and Draymond was really good. And Cassius Winston and Scott Skiles. Cassius Winston will go down as probably top 2 or 3 in Michigan State, and I think history will show, in with exception to what happened this senior year, that Cassius will be one of the greats of the Big Ten.
That's saying a lot. Like you mentioned, a lot of greats have come through that program over the years. So that says a lot. Todd, I know you agree. You got to watch those guys all throughout the season, and he was one of the favorites to watch.
He is. And you know what because I watched you guys a lot, and in your games, like I enjoyed watching you and Izzo in regards to Cassius Winston. And I know your guys' expectation level for him is so much higher than maybe any other player that's been there since you've been around.
No question.
You can see the frustration that Izzo and sometimes I could even see it with you, that you guys would have in some things that Cassius were doing. But it's so funny because they were things you guys were expecting him to do. They're on another level you would never expect some players to do or recognize or see. But I could just watch you guys, and when he would miss something or when he would make a turnover or try something that was just try to split one of those high ball screens just a little too much, and you guys would just shake your head. I enjoy watching the coaches aspect of that. But that's a play. If we got an Indiana player to try to do something like that, we would be like, look, moron, you couldn't do that in a million years. But
yeah, I
Cassius,
mean,
you just get a different
that's like
expectation
Todd
on it.
Leary shooting a pull-up three in transition when you're down 5 with 2 minutes to go and the general goes nuts, or Fife even attempting a three. But you're right, and that's some things that we had a guy named Denzel Valentine that did some things that were similar. But what you're seeing is the impact of Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson gets spoke of up here like maybe an Alford or a Damon Bailey, or and Magic's one of the all-time greats in the history of the game, let alone East Lansing. But it's a different aspect up here, and because Magic is so revered by the people in this state, especially this area. But Cassius will say himself, his favorite growing up was Magic, and that certainly was Denzel's. And you'll see a lot of guys taking some risks up here in these parts as it relates to what you speak of in regards to Cassius.
Yep.
And there's a vote coming up on March 30th by the NCAA, Dane, that will look at potentially giving an extended eligibility to spring and possibly winter athletes. There's so many moving parts to that. It'd be tough to do, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would have zero problem with the spring athletes. And I think the reason is this is, part of the college experience. I think it's half and half, those guys are, and ladies are coming to, especially the athletes, they're coming to the program to participate in sports and also to get their college education. So I think that although their academic requirements might be fulfilled in some cases, I still think that the other half needs to be satisfied and give some of these kids a chance to take part in a championship or a final season for some people. It is really unfortunate that we didn't get to see guys like Cassius and the kid at Dayton, Toppin, who's Dayton was really good, guys. We saw them in Maui. Just guys like that, and maybe Xavier Tillman, who's announced he's going to test the NBA waters. The kid we have. It's unfortunate, but for these spring athletes, there might be a baseball player, somebody in another sport that makes their hay in the tournament. And that's one thing that I think a couple of our guys were relying on is you really make your noise in the NCAA tournament. And that's something like, even for Cassius, that's something that they didn't get a chance to do.
Yeah, it sucks for all those. A lot of athletes, wrestlers, or guys that we kind of forget about that I don't think about. Guys that may be in national champions that had a shot at all that. So, yeah, it's just not good for any of us. But how are you spending your time? What are you doing to the self-isolation and all that?
Well, it's I've always thought of myself as a relatively disciplined person, but this situation is just it's beyond me, and it's just something it's hard to fathom every day, where you wake up and come down and look at the plan for my two girls. They're 10 and 7, and it's hard to complain, but I've done plenty of it. And as a staff, I can't even imagine what Coach Izzo's doing, because that's a guy that's gone 100 miles an hour since he was out of the womb. And his wife Loopy sent a picture of him cleaning out some kind of closet in his house, and he just looked miserable. And I usually don't feel bad for the guy, but I did at that point. And I think she'd asked me to find something for him to do. This was before we had a complete shutdown. But I do think that this is going to, if there's going to be a silver lining in this whole thing, it is going to be the fact that most of us as Americans need to do a better job of doing things that are fruitful and that really matter, like golf, Leary.
Of course.
Especially, we've got parents that are older. I've got parents that are getting older now. That life is precious and it's short. And I think when this is all over, we're all going to have somebody that's pretty close to us that's going to be impacted by this virus. But it's been both very, very, very powerful from the standpoint that, you do a lot of, you get time to realize what they did before the internet was invented, right, Todd? And what went on before all this social media crap. You can still have access to it, but you know what? Taking a walk outside, reading a book. Todd, can you read?
My kids read to me.
Well, there's Audible now, but
yeah, you don't think I would take advantage of that?
This has really shed some light on stuff, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of people. And it's been a good learning experience. I hope that we can get this thing resolved and get this virus handled. It sounds like, who knows what it sounds like, because the thing has become so political. But I do think we're seeing a lot of good right now, and we're seeing a lot of people that we wouldn't otherwise think are pretty selfish, doing a lot of good things. And so it is nice to see that people are stepping up.
Yeah, communities and people helping, getting out, takeout, whether it's getting takeout or feeding people.
Leary's, the good thing, Leary's always making sure restaurants are staying in business.
I do my
part. I hear those hips are up around 40 right now, Larry. Is that true?
That's right on the money.
Oh, speaking of hips, and with the seriousness of this, but you mentioned earlier that this is your livelihood and you still have to do this. There's still a coaching and recruiting aspect to this during all this. How do you guys maintain that? Because it's the same for everybody, all schools and all coaches, but you guys still have to maintain.
Except for Patino.
Yeah, who signed 6.
Yeah, man.
But he got the magic. He's got the magic sauce. But but how do you guys maintain doing all that? What are you doing to maintain all that?
Well, that is one thing that one reason we're thankful for the internet and social media is our guys have access to online tutors. I can't imagine this even 10 years ago happening, where they shut down and closed the school. Obviously we communicate with our guys quite a bit and pretty much every day. And the at-risk students, it's pretty challenging for them. A lot of kids we get don't have those, study habits that are ingrained and the discipline of waking up every day and making sure they're regimented and understanding how to write a paper in the form that they need to write it in, just because they haven't been taught for the most part. And I wouldn't say all kids. I'd say it's typically a couple kids. But this, for anybody, even for the best students, is a tough thing to do, especially when they're so used to the pace that we go at. And now they have time on their hands. It's easy to get distracted. But I'd say the bigger part is some of these guys are getting ready to potentially play for money. And the one thing that I had thrown at me last night talking to one of our team doctors is Europe. When are they even remotely close, especially the high paying countries like Italy and Spain, that is basketball. Some of these basketball programs, some of these pro programs, I'm hearing most of them are going under over in some of the lesser known countries. They can't afford to stay in business. sponsors are gone. They rely so much on sponsors. You just wonder if how much of Europe is going to have basketball where it's worth it to go over there and play for money. And then, in the near future, how does a Cassius Winston, a guy who can't play anymore in college, how does he get in to work out, to stay in shape and really hone his game in order to make it most tailor-made for the NBA, especially those combines and those workouts for teams?
Dane, man, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us today during this hiatus and all that. But it's always so much fun. I love having you on to give Leary grief and vice versa.
Next time we have a guest cancel, you can be our backup again, Dane.
I'm in, fellas. Just call me. You got to holler at, I'm anytime. I love it. I love talking Hoosier hoops and ripping on Leary.
And the Jankos bet stands. You win. I give it to you. I concede that. I thank you so much, man. You're the greatest. I appreciate you, Dane.
Hey, Ali's the greatest. Leary's second, and I'll take a distant third.
You can have what you want, brother. Dane Fife, appreciate you, man.
See
Great day, man.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
There's the great Dane Fife joining us here on the program. That's always a fun time. It's going to be.
Best.
But he was seriously, I mean, he had said, I'm your guy. So we got more coming up here. Let's finish the show out when we come back. Come and tell you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Friday. Jake's got me dancing around here, going crazy. That was a fun time with Dane, as it always is, man. He's just a blast.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those guys that when you hear, you loved him as a player, but then when you hear him talk and you know how knowledgeable he is about the game, you're just so excited, or not excited is not the word. You're proud that he's a Hoosier. I mean, he's just one of those guys that you want to be an alumni of your school because you know how smart he is and educated, and he's just a good dude. I mean, I would never say that with him on here, but he's a good dude.
Tim texted in that down there in southern Indiana, Louisville area, I mean, they've taken down like the basketball goals, the tennis nets. It's crazy.
What?
In an effort to keep people from the tennis, I don't get. I mean,
what about Pat Graham Court down there?
I wonder if they've taken the nets. Have they taken the rims down?
The dedication ceremony is supposed to be in like a week or something.
Oh, it is?
Obviously, that's canceled, but yeah.
Oh, it hasn't. That didn't happen already?
I think it's supposed to be like next week.
Well, I'm glad you told us. We have to be there for that. Or
I'm sure it's canceled.
Right. But when it is, I'll have to certainly be there.
Plus, he's just got out of the hospital for heart surgery. So.
And I'm glad you brought that back up because we haven't really talked about it. We touched on it, but yeah, he's out. He's home. He's resting. I've been asking him how he's doing all week. He seems like he's getting better. He went for a 2-mile walk, he said.
Yeah, I mean, I think they told him.
I haven't walked 2 miles in a long time. I said, man, I haven't walked 2 miles in forever. Dude just got out of the hospital and he's out walking 2 miles. Boom.
Yeah, well, I would not say Pat is a picture of fitness and health, but when the doctors tell him he needs to do it, he will definitely be regimented and do it. And so he is, he said he feels great, which is awesome. I know the first procedure they did, it didn't work. He was still having more pain in his arm and his chest, and so they had to go back in. I think I said it on the air, doing another procedure, but he's home now and feels really good, he said.
Yeah, good for him. I hope he keeps going. We'll get him on here and let him rest and get back to whatever shape he needs to get into and get him on. And
he'll be in 24 chicken wing eating shape before too long.
Yeah, be out fishing, man. That's something you can go out and do, and your social distancing.
You got to have a big boat, or go by yourself.
Yeah, he's probably knows some friends at least.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He likes to fish in like the stripper pits and stuff like that. So he can be out there on his own. Stripper
pits. By that he means where they have gone in and taken things out of the ground. There are no poles involved in the stripper pits.
I guess
I've never heard it referred to as that, but I knew exactly what you meant when you said it. As soon as you said it, but I've never heard that.
What
before.
else would it be called?
Quarry?
Okay,
yeah, I just called it quarry. But
true. Yeah.
But that as soon as you said it, I knew exactly what you meant. I'm like, oh, okay, that's just a phrase I hadn't heard before. This is pretty cool. But yeah, I'll get forward to getting Pat on here and Devontae to get Devontae rescheduled. He was probably up late watching the Duke game and playing Fortnite or something. But
is Fortnite still a thing? People still do that?
Man, I never knew that it was, other than when they all talk about it. So I guess they still do that. Yeah, I mean, it's something. I guess it's a way to stay connected. Still, Ozark out on Netflix today. When we're done, man, I know how I'm spending the rest of my rainy day.
How many episodes are in a
That's a good
season?
question. I don't know if it's
probably
like
10.
I'm 10? Thinking, between 8 to 10, probably 10. Hopefully,
that's
10.
an hour-long show, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a doozy, man. That's a weekender.
Man. That's a whole. Anytime you can chalk off a day right now with
raining
like that, you're in good shape.
And when it's raining out, you can't do anything anyway. Oh man. I've been waiting for this. I'm glad it came out today instead of earlier, because I would have just chewed it up, man.
I know. We have zero discipline when it comes to stuff like. I mean, I went through Tiger King in a half a day.
I got one for you. It's a short. It's only 3 seasons, but it's great. Deadwood.
Is it a good one?
Oh, I love it. It's a west. It's set back in Deadwood, South Dakota, back in the 1800s. But it is.
I saw a funny tweet last night. There's only 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and Carol killed her husband.
Exactly. and Tim says, add to that Todd's wrong.
I'm used to it. Anytime Dane's on, I'm always wrong, and I'll take being wrong just to get him on here.
Ryan up in Michigan, I wanted to get his text in while I was on with Dane. I couldn't get to it, but he wanted to say that he loves Dane Fife, and he's a Michigan guy, but he's a huge Hoosier fan. So thanks for that text as well, as guys. But yeah, we got a lot more coming up here on the program. We'll get to that. AJ Moye is going to join us next. We'll be with that from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
I want to smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, joined now by one of the absolute favorites, former Hoosier, AJ Moye. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
Man, I can't appreciate you so much. I know he's out in California, so it's a lot earlier for him, man. Appreciate you, especially since I know we were all up watching that Indiana game last night, the Duke Indiana game in 2002. It was so much fun. Dane Fife was posting along. Someone had asked him to kind of give a play-by-play, which he was doing on Twitter, which was kind of funny because he was doing it in a Dane Fife way, which you know is nothing but hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Zany.
Yeah, absolutely. When that game comes on, which we all enjoy that stuff, that kind of stuff. And Ian, what's it like as a player to watch that stuff and look back on that?
Man, it was like I don't know. It's surreal because it feels like, man, we're about to lose this game. Like every time I'm watching, I'm like, man, I hope we can come back and win the game. But it's awesome. It was just an awesome feeling, and it was a team. That collection of guys from 2000 to 2003, we were just a team. We really loved each other, and we really didn't care who did what. We were just trying to win.
And I was talking to Dane Fife about that makeup of that team. That team had probably more moxie than talent, and I'm not knocking the talent on it, but it had probably more moxie than talent. Those guys were all so tough. Yourself and Dane and Coverdale and all those guys, the toughness that came along with that game. We don't see teams like that anymore. And Dane talked about, of course, the longevity, but there's also more to it. The players today they're different.
Yeah, man, the kids they're different, but I really feel that and I'm not knocking anyone, but I really feel that as coaches, because now that's what I do. But as coaches, we have to really take our time and really give our players that certain amount of moxie, that certain amount of toughness, that certain amount of edge, and really feed their competitive fervor. So that's one thing I do. Because I work with I'm the master trainer over at Mama Sports Academy. So I work with tons of NBA guys, a lot of college guys, and make a lot of great high school and middle school kids, make them become D1 players. Like at my high school alone, I also coach high school, and I probably have like 8 D1 players over the course of the last 2-3 years. So it's about you have to instill that in the kids, and you have to teach them why. And I don't think these kids watch basketball as much as we did. We knew everything. Like when I was a kid, you knew about the 20 years before you, in players and things. But now these kids, they have these phones, man. They just get lost in text messaging and Snapchat and everything else, man. So the world's changed a little bit.
Yeah, there's so much things to keep them occupied. Fortnite, which I know nothing about. I just know that it's one of those things that they do. There's just so many crazy things out there, and that makes it. How much as a coach though? That's got to make it more difficult. It seems like you'd have to come up with more creative ways to get to them.
Not really, man. So, because I'm gonna tell you, like, so when I was a player, I was different, man. I love to win, but I used to read autobiographies, man, of basketball players. So, I read Elvin Hayes, and I read Bill Russell's, and Damon Bailey's, and John Wooden's, and I love John Wooden. What he said is like one of his rules is like he doesn't waste time arguing or bad mouthing the player. He just takes them out and sit them on the bench. He's like the bench is your best friend. So if you want to get a lesson taught, just put them on the bench. And so that's what I do. But I really feel you just have to tap into these guys, and you also have to be a coach that knows the game. And I really feel that hurts the kids as well, because there are so many different avenues. When we were kids, AAU, I think it might have been one team per state, and it might have been 2 teams per state that were any good. So, but nowadays, you have like 500 AAU teams in every state, and so it's a little weird, and you get people coaching that don't know anything about basketball. So that's diluting the pool. So it's a lot of things that kind of play into the reasons why the kids don't have the heightened understanding. But you know what? I will say this about the kids, man. These guys are ridiculous athletes, boy. They're ridiculous now.
Yeah, it's certainly you can see as you go by, as the years go by, we all just everything gets better and better. During this time with all the coronavirus lockdowns that we're all dealing with in various places, and of course it's serious, and there's much more serious things than sports, but it is a part of our fabric and our life, and it's affected that immensely. And as a coach, it's your livelihood going forward. The difficulties that may lie ahead with getting things just back going again. How difficult is that just to get things ramped back up when you take it to a dead stop?
Well, yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, man, because many jobs, people are just getting laid off. You know what I mean? And I think everyone's had to deal with that. I know, even at my company, I haven't had to deal with it, but it's just sad, man. These are times right now that are tough and they're trying, but I also feel like the fabric of who we are as human beings and what really makes us go and makes us tick and what really drives us at the core. I really feel this is a time where our character will be on display, and I feel this is a time where we all can kind of step back, and we all are becoming more intertwined. So I feel that every situation you go through in life, you always have a choice. Do I make it positive, or am I going to mope and complain? So I really feel like these are trying times, tough times, and my heart goes out to everyone who's gravely affected by this. And it's just something that's just historically it hasn't happened since like the plague or something. So this is just a weird time.
Yeah, that's something I just can keep saying over and over. Like when I talk to my daughter, I try to tell her, I go, she's 16, 17, and almost 17. And I'm like, Kylie, this is weird for me. I said, this is something I've never experienced. It's weird for all of us. And it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And life has been even tougher for you guys. Your involvement with the Mamba Academy, of course, and the loss of Kobe this year. Horrible tragedy.
Wow.
So you guys have dealt with that. How did you deal with that? And how are you dealing with that?
Honestly, man, I haven't dealt with it, because Kobe, I remember when I was 13, the NBA Summer League used to be played at Long Beach State University, believe it or not. So in the summer times, I was always out in California with my father. So I've started following Kobe when he had to be in 10th grade, 10th, 11th grade. So, we used to play at some of the same venues, in AAU and stuff. And then he got drafted by the Lakers. And so they were playing their first game. And man, I begged my father to take me. So he took me. You just paid like $3 and you were in the gym. You could sit anywhere. So I was sitting at least 3 rows, behind his bench. And man, I watched Kobe. He had like 31 to 34 his first time playing, and it was just amazing. And after the game, I remember the announcer said, "Well, Kobe, we hear these stories about you and you're legendary, and you're in the gym this much, and you do this and you do that." And he said, "Well, he said that plays a part." He said, "But the thing with me is I believe in myself." And he said, "You have to believe in yourself, or no one else will." And that clicked. So that kind of lit a fire in me. And the cool thing about it was, then I met him again at ABCD, that big camp they have for the players back in my day. So I met him. They took like 10 of us, like the 10 best players at the camp. We got to meet him. So it was real cool. So, and then now seeing him again, probably like 3-4 years ago, and reconnecting with him, and me and him, we got pretty tight. I used to help coach his daughter's travel team, and so it hit me real hard because I knew Liz, and I know Peyton, and I know Gigi, and it hit me real hard. And losing Kobe, man, it's tough. And the thing is, I don't believe I've grown to accept it yet. I just haven't, because the whole world was reeling and the whole world was dealing with this emotion. And I got kids at home. I got my wife, and I was just trying to hold it all together. But eventually, one day, I need to just exhale and let all the emotion out.
Yeah, don't let it all explode at one time. It's
Yeah.
something I tend to do, and it's never good. It seems like, but yeah, he was one of those figures that transcends athletics. He was a guy that was at the top of his game and what he did for the
Yeah.
entire length of his career. But then after that, he used that in a positive way, affecting community, and not
I'm gonna
everybody
tell you
does that.
about him too. The guy was always like that, man. Like he might have done so much for homelessness in LA. Like it was crazy. And he had such a giving heart, man. Like he always had a giving heart. He's just an amazing guy. And the thing is, it's not so much, it's the Mamba mentality. It really is. His mentality is to never say die, right? To never give up and to always do your best. You strive to do your best every single day at every single thing that you do. And it's great because, yeah, I'm missing him. And yeah, we all miss him, but I know that, he's with me every day, through the course of his life. So that's called living a full life, and that's called living a life where you're trying to be a positive change agent. So, you know, I love Kobe, and dear friend, and I miss him each day, each day.
And we talk about there's people in all of our lives that affect it, but not only affect it, but actually change it and point it in a different direction. And it sounds like this is definitely one of those places in a road that Kobe was for you, that put you on a different path. What
Yeah.
would your life have been like had you guys not converged?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, man. I don't even know, because you could say, well, I believe this and I believe that, but I'm telling you, the day I saw Kobe when I was 13, and the day I actually was around him, like when I was 13, that changed my whole life, man. I started working like a maniac, like it's from the day I met Kobe, So he's one of those transcendent people, like you said, man. He's just an awesome person, He really is, and it's not a word created for the type of individual I believe he is and was.
And we know him as a great family man. You yourself also married. I think since we've spoken last, you've gotten married. That was
Yeah,
last summer, right?
yeah, about 2, 3 summers. Yeah, I got a wife. I have a 1-year-old, and guess what? Today is my 16-year-old, now 17-year-old's birthday. So her birthday is today. So when she gets up, I'm gonna shower her with a lot of presents and gifts. But she's not in school now, so she can sleep to probably like 9.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Amazing. Happy birthday.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
Thank
my daughter will be 17 in May, but yes, the fun times. It's difficult for a kid that's 14, 15, 16 right now because like I
Yeah, it
mentioned a minute
is.
ago, this is weird for all of us, but I can't imagine being at that age and having to go through all this because
Yeah,
it's a
I
lot to
feel
take.
for her. I feel for her because my daughter's she's like a D1 hopeful like player in volleyball. So, like she really plays it. And so, volleyball season, they were in the midst of this is real the real beef of their season is. So she had a tournament to go to Colorado, probably like the week the first round of the NCAA tournament, right? Well, the first round, well, actually the week of the conference tournaments, right? So she had a big tournament up there, and her volleyball team was one of the best in California, and so that got canceled. And she's sad, and she loves school, man. She really does, man. She has all A's and one B, So she was getting that Moye fabric about her that I love, and she was really excelling. And so she misses school. That's the thing that's weird. She's talking. She's like, Dad, I really was looking forward to this project. I was working on this project. I was writing a paper for this guy, and I really wanted to turn it in. I thought I was going to do great. And so it's a weird time because I have nothing from experience, right? That I can say, hey, baby, this happened back when I was this, and we weren't in school for this, but that never transpired when I was growing up. So, I really feel for her.
Yeah, well, she's got the AJ hops. She's going to be in great shape because watching that Duke game last night again, I waited for there's that one moment, and there it came when you blocked Carlos Boozer. That is one of my favorite moments in all of sports, and I'm not saying that because you're on here. I've said it 1,000 times. It's my favorite picture. That and Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston, my two favorites in all of sports. Right there.
I appreciate it. I think, it's my favorite.
Dude, I would have that thing wallpapered around my house if it was me. I promise you. My entire house would be wallpapered in that poster.
Well, I got it in one. My wife is an amazing person. So she, because, our house is 2-3 levels. So on the stairs, we have a wall where it's just all of me and basketball. And she did it, man. I was so grateful and so honored, because my wife, she's from Southport, Indiana, but she put it up there, and then it's the Sports Illustrated one with me blocking Carlos Boozer, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is without a doubt just one of the greatest. It is awesome, and the fact that I got to be there is the best part. But every time you watch it,
I love your version of the game way better than the CBS version. The CBS version, they call me AJ Moye.
Oh, yeah.
Because OJ Mayo was like a senior in high school then or something. But I don't know, the guy said, "Oh, and OJ Moye just blocked us." I'm like, OJ, come on, man.
Well, at least you're better. They helped out Dane Fife, and when he was on, we were talking about that. But when he committed the foul on
they called it Jeff Newton. They were like,
yes, they called it on Jeff Newton.
Did this and Jeff Newton. I'm like, why would Jeff Newton be guarding Jay Will? Like, come on, man.
Oh, yeah, he was just lucky that they kept everyone. Even Don Fisher called it somebody else. He was just lucky that everybody called it everybody but him. But what a fun time it was and fun. But man, I can't thank you enough, AJ, for coming on.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are staying safe out there and keep your family safe. And we appreciate you so much. Any chance with all this going on, I know nobody's going anywhere, but were there any plans to come back to Indiana anytime in the near future for visiting?
Oh yeah, definitely. We were definitely going to come back. And I'll tell you this, man. Archie knows how I feel, man. I would love, ultimately, I feel like, ultimately in my heart, I want to come back to Indiana in some way or form, and help out with the program, just because, I love the program, and I love Indiana. That's where I ultimately want to be. So, right now, it's a great time for me in life. So, who knows what the future holds, but, I love Indiana. And
they love you.
Real quick, hey man, Dane Fife, he was about to get destroyed, man. I remember when he did that foul, man. Hey man, everyone on the team was like, "Hey, as soon as this game is over, we're gonna lock the door." JJ was like, "Hey, we're gonna lock the door. We're gonna tear him up." I was like, boy. But then I remember Jay Will went to the line. I was like, yo, he's 59%. He's not going to make this. I said it loud. I didn't think he was going to make it. And he didn't. So, that was a lot of fun. But, Dane, man, Dane was probably going to get taken out some sort of way, man. Because we just had a conversation. We were like, hey, just don't foul them on the three. Like, hey, they can make a three. It's cool. Just don't foul them. And Fight just goes by and chest bumps the guy.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And Mike Davis goes to his knees and everybody.
Oh, man. Hey, man.
But he misses the free throw. But then Boozer gets the rebound, and Fife was blaming Jared Jeffries, saying that he's the one. He said, at least I was trying when I fouled. He goes, Jared, let Boozer just grab the rebound.
Just let him get it, too, man. I think, that, hey, that game sends me through a gauntlet of emotions, right? Because it's just like, man, what's going on, man? We played that game a little bit weird, but, he showed great fight and competitive fervor, good competitive nature. I liked it.
It was awesome, and it's always fun. It's even fun watching it 18 years later. It's almost just as fun, man. It's crazy. AJ, man, thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you again soon, and more importantly, seeing you when you come back.
All right, I give you a buzz when I'm back, Todd.
Look forward to it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. AJ Moye joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat as we're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. That is there. But AJ Moye joined us. Appreciate that. It was a great show today. Try to get Devontae rescheduled as I think he may have been up too late last night, but we'll get him on here next week. And I'm trying to see a look at maybe Trey Galloway next week, and just got all kinds of, we'll see who all we can get on. But we appreciate everybody joining us today. Thanks a lot to AJ and, of course, the great one, Dane Fife. We'll be back on Monday with plenty more. So make sure you go to Rivals, thehoosier.com, sign up, get yourself an account there. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, for Todd, Jake, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.